So there's not much I can do with it. It's just going to have to be what it is. But it's fine. I mean, again, that fell. So I'm going to be taking a look, even though I said I wasn't going to weeks ago when I did this, but I'm going to take a look at the Sega Genesis that came with that Sega CD Model 2 that I repaired a while back. I figured should probably do something with it because I don't want to just leave it as a, half repaired board or anything like that, where I just put a jumper wire in place of the ferrite bead that had broken off. So I went ahead and repaired, well, to the best of my ability, using 28 gauge wire, wrapping it around the same number of times that the old one was, which was approximately 3. Give it long enough lead so I can solder them back onto the board, and we'll take care of that now. Give the board a good cleaning and put everything back together. I did, when I was cleaning the Sega CD, I already cleaned the shell. It's really scuffed up, so it doesn't look like much was done with it, but it was cleaned, and like I said, it's just really scuffed up. I'll try to polish it a little bit. Not much I can do otherwise. Bottom half of the shell came out better, but in the when I was actually doing the cleaning, unfortunately, I had washed out the labels. I did not realize that they were paper on this particular unit. Usually they're metallic. So those are all gone, including the serial number, but not that big of a deal, really. At least not in my opinion. But otherwise, there's really nothing else I need to do with the board. The bottom is clean. I'll just give it a quick once over. And that's basically it. All of the dust and everything is going to be on top. So we'll get that replaced and reassemble everything. Test it one last time. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I also had spray painted the RF shield in order to cover up and existing rust and hopefully prevent some in the future. But yeah, let's go ahead and get that taken care of and get it back together, test it one more time, and see what I can do with it. All right, so I've got the soldering iron up to the right temperature. I'm going to have to turn on my exhaust fan to blow the fumes away from me, obviously. You notice these jumper wires that are here, these bodge wires, these are all factory. But it's funny that they are labeled, JP5, 6, and 7. But of course, all we're concerned with is FB7, getting that replaced, and going from there. So yeah, it's going to get a little louder with the fan. I'll try to filter that out during editing. First thing is first is I got to get rid of the bodge that's there, the jumper that I put myself in. And that should just be as simple as heating it up and flicking it out of the way. There. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of fresh solder, even though that solder is relatively new. It'll make it a little bit easier to get the repaired bead back on. Air conditioning is kicking in, so it might get a little louder. Like I said, I'll try to filter everything out. That's definitely not aligned the way I need it to be. But we'll see. We'll make it work one way or the other. Well, that definitely did not hold. So for some reason it just stopped recording. But I got the bead soldered on. I just need to test for continuity to make sure that there is a connection there. All right, let's go ahead. We'll check the continuity. Perfect. I'm going to get it back together and continue on. Not going to be too fancy of a cleaning. Just enough to get some of the dust and grime off that has accumulated over the decades. do notice something here, though. Seems to be a little bit of a scratch there. I don't think anything was cut. I'll have to check continuity, and then what I'll do is I'll put some solder mask over it just to protect it. At least should be all right. Yeah, everything should be good there. Like I said, I'll just put some solder mask over it to protect it, and that's it. So I'm going to just finish cleaning off camera here, make it a little bit easier, make this video shorter, and we'll continue. So it's probably as good as I'm going to be able to get it, just because there's too many different nooks and crannies that I can't get into with my brushes or anything like that. I don't want to remove the heat sink, so I just tried to get some canned air sprayed through in there. It should be clean enough. Try to clean some of the ports. Bottom, like I said, is pretty good. A couple of spots where there was some flux from the factory that I tried to clean up, but it'll do. Proper way to really clean it is to use an ultrasonic cleaner, but I don't have one, and one of these days I will. It's just right now not feasible. So, and as stated earlier, put some solder mask down. I just have to cure it under some UV light for a little bit, and it'll be ready to go, and then I'll be able to get this thing back together. So it should be done curing now, and while that was going on, attempted to remove the scratches on the top half of the shell. Got it nice and shiny, but these scratches are just too deep to be able to do anything with, and on top of that, the Sega Genesis logo itself is scratched up, so there's not much I can do with it. It's just going to have to be what it is, but it's fine. I mean, again, oh, that fell. But it should be fine. Again, this system was obviously well-loved, so at least I was able to give it a good little shine. Did the same thing on the bottom half, which surprisingly isn't as bad. Now, the other problem that I'm going to run into is that because this was attached to the Sega CD when I got it, I don't have the flap or anything like that to put back on. I'm going to see if the one from my Genesis 2 that is currently hooked up to the Sega CD, if it'll fit, and if it does, I'll just use that because I'm not going to need it anymore. But in the meantime, let's put this to the side, make room, and start the process of getting this thing put back together. And of course, let me grab the cover. Hopefully it'll fit. All right. I know this should fit just fine. Protect the edge connector, but we'll see if this fits. It does. Kind of. It's not quite a perfect fit. I don't know if it's showing up on camera. But you know what? If it covers it and protects it, that's all I care about. Alright, so all I have to do now is hook everything up, test it, and then we're done. Alright, let's get everything hooked up. I grabbed the adapter from upstairs. It's not a spare one, unfortunately, because I don't have one, which means selling this is going to be a little bit more challenging because, well, people don't want to have to go and source their own stuff, so, but we'll see. Let's see, Madden Football 92. Power LED works, and I am getting a picture. Let's see if I can show you guys. It's a little loud. But there we go. Picture's a little noisy because I'm using RF. I don't have spare AV cables, unfortunately, so. But yeah, it's working just fine, so cool. Well, that'll be it for this one. I'm probably going to go ahead and just sell this, like I said. Not sure what the going rate is for a Model 1 Genesis that's got some scuffs on it and stuff, but it works at least. We know it works with the Sega CD because that's what I used to test it initially when I got everything up and running. So we'll see if I can find an extra controller, AV cables, and a power brick for relatively cheap. You know, I could probably make a decent amount of money on this thing now. Here's the awesome part is because I paid basically less for both that I would have paid for just a Sega CD on its own, I'm considering this to be basically free. So, you know, let's say these things go for $50 complete, as long as it doesn't cost me that much, you know, to get a controller, AV cables, and a power adapter, I'm making money on it. So that's pretty cool. If it is going to be more than that, then maybe I'll just try to sell it on its own and see what happens. But yeah, so what did you guys think? I know not a super exciting video, especially if you saw the Sega CD video, then you know that this was already technically working, but I figured I should put the ferrite bead back in, even though it's not completely needed. Obviously, it was put in there for a reason. It does help filter some of the video and stuff like that, so it's not as noisy. But yeah, this is probably going to be even a short video because there wasn't much to it. If you guys have any experience fixing your own Sega Genesis or anything like that, leave some comments below, some stories, etc. Otherwise, thanks all. I'll catch you later.